The cross of planning represents humanity's ingrained ability to prioritize and sustain community. This is the focus of the skills behind this communal structure that is fading. It's being erased from our actual biological and cultural code. It's not a temporary phase. It's actually a permanent extraction. Now, we were bathed, immersed, born, bred, raised, and a lot of us died in it or will die before 2027. We still carry the frequency forward. But it's true that those who are born after 2027 will carry a different frequency. And what replaces it isn't an upgrade, it's just a new spiral of life, a new chemistry, a fundamental reordering of how we relate, not only as a human species, but also independently to ourselves, how we relate to another. So Ra says, quote, we're going to lose the focus and skills to maintain the community. And it's not losing it as some passing theme. It's taken out of our bodies, replaced with something else, a shift. It's a new chemistry, a new imprint. And it gets closer and closer every day, less than 2 years away. We're entering into a new era. This cross of the sleeping phoenix, abundance in great disguise, sleeping phoenix on the rise. We see the cross of deep individuality, part of integration as far as a being, pure, generated manifestation. The era of the manifesting generator. Busy, 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 this humbless energy. It's a paradigm powered by the 3420. Power connected up with contemplation in the now. The mutated 55 and 59. It isn't gentle independence or interdependence. It's restlessness and relentless, busy or dead, according to Ra. He likened us to mosquitoes. Smack, dead. So, chaotic, desperate motion. Now, we look at this cross as it is, and we do not see awareness. But the keys to the new era absolutely brings intuition, the gate of intuition. It brings forth this penetrating awareness and knowing in the now. So we won't be haphazardly, not to me, it seems. There will be some of us that can rise to the occasion. Six-line beings, particularly, who can stand in their own authority, those beings who can live without hypocrisy, those beings who can be aligned to the individuality, sovereign and free, the fundamental nature of being, a role model, a living example. Now we know that the role model takes 50 years to emerge from its cocoon, its basis of birthing. So this era will seem quite immature initially, and you already see the hypocrisy, don't you? I know I do. It's the way that I see. I see through the hypocrisy as a six-line perceptual and personal perspective being. I see it. I feel it. I know it for truth. And remember, truth is individual. So innately, the creativity, the rebirthing of the human creature, this 3420 channel that fuels the background hum, it isn't necessarily, according to Ra, about purpose. It's survivability, anxiety of act or perish. Now, remember that Ra, in his frequency, he's an ego manifester, very authoritative, lots of first line energy. For me, what I see in this energy is, if it's to be, it's up to me. I want my independence, please. And actually, not asking, I'm taking. So it can be brutal and it can be bully, or it can be above it all. It can rise and emerge and thrive, potentially. So there will be pockets of beings who can survive the coming radical shift of the changing time, the new era. In 100 years, Ra predicted that there would be a crash of the numbers of humanity. And if you think about the mutation and knowing that individuation is on the rise, you can see it all around you, don't you? The only, not amoral, what is the word, please? I need the word that is escaping me. When there is no man or woman. Gate 34. Pull up the chat here. No human. Dang it. No human identity that is male nor female. Asexual. That's the word I'm looking for. There is no asexual. There is an asexuality to the coming era. There we go. That's the thing that I wanted to get across. There's an asexuality. And isn't it true that some of you have children who don't identify with male or female? Mutation. Some people see it as an illness. I see it as individuation. No one has a hold on truth. Every truth is individual. So we see the cross of sleeping phoenix bringing, I've got to be busy for myself. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I must do my own thing, or else it isn't a choice. There is this deep potential sadness, melancholy that comes with any individuality. And how many beings have you seen that decide to off themselves? What is the sixth line in 28? Line 6, blaze of glory, out on the suicidal tendency. I must do my own thing. I must be individual, or else life is not worth living. It's encoded into their genetics. To ignore one's individuality in the new era, it risks frustration, it risks anger, it risks depression, existential dissonance. Survival now demands self-prioritization in the new era, radical self-care, radical individuation, empowerment, please. And I'm not asking. Gone are the days of the focusing on the skills in the community. No. It's not altruism's twilight. It's a genetic rewrite, genetic code. The old frequency of collective duty is dying, being replaced by the primal mantra, be busy for yourself. The alternative is to be broken. It's a very different frequency, isn't it? And in 100 years, we will see the captivation of a society in that busyness and potentially driving themselves into the ground. This is a powerful channel. If you are somebody who has been experimenting and you do not have this channel, you'll note when that channel comes in, especially twice a year because of the sun-earth energy. In this background frequency, obviously, it's going to be hardwired into the new beings of the new age and stage. But currently, you and me, unless we have that hardwired in our genetics, we get overwhelmed potentially. I know this for me personally as a projector being who does not have this genetic hardwired programming of the sacral energy. Twice a year, this energy moves through, and I'm exhausted by the end of the week, laid flat, even if I didn't go, busy, be, do. You know, it's doing energy. And how hard is it to buck the trend of the mind saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. Self-empowerment, please. And I'm not asking, you know, go, do. How many of you succumb to that energy twice a year currently? And what happens when that background frequency shifts truly, fully? We're all immersed and bathed in that frequency. This is the most common manifesting generator that is manifesting design there is. It is the pure and only manifesting generator. Because it is an opposition in the wheel, not just harmonic gates on either side. So you see, we already live and breathe in that frequency. If you're like me and have a child or a family member that has that imprinting, my child does. Not from Sun Earth, actually, from planetary activations. In 2100, you will see Polaris being exactly, precisely the North Star. Mark this date, March 24th, 2100. It is that moment where before the pregnant pause of the rebirthing, the new humanity, where Polaris finally aligns perfectly with Earth's axis, becoming the true first North Star precisely during this cross of the sleeping phoenix age. The culmination of a cosmic process, a millennia, over 1,000 years in the making. And as we enter into this new era, sleeping phoenix on the rise, like the myth, the era rises where we have a crashing, a burning, going up in smoke. The phoenix must die before it is reborn. So Polaris's alignment signals a rebirthing, closing the door, closing the chapter. No more focus on inner truth. Igniting another truth of individuality, sovereign and free, in humanity's relationship with the cosmos that be. Conscious in its awareness. We who are frequency beings are transmitters, vibrators of frequencies within, discerning the programming of what it is to be within a neutrino field of imprinting without. And so we see March 24th, 2100, the moon, this time to take stock, the nodal frequency, the conjuncting of the Neptune's trident, the deep sharing of the collective plight of what it is to be human. Ross says there are hopes, perhaps, of what the promise is, what it can be, and what could be. When we think about this frequency, the abstraction, and where it moves into in the future, the demise, not complete breaking, but the demise of logic, as in after 2027, the logic will not work in a human creature, mentally anyway. That channel won't work in the same way. What we see as a part of the frequency, there's a difficulty in finding the point amongst confusion. Isn't it true? Those of you who have confusion in the first line and what to do. There is confusion over which values and relationships actually can bring harmony. And that's on the quote unquote exalted side of things. Difficulty finding the point. Which relationships will bring harmony? On the flip side, an urge to act when you think you have made sense of the confusion, and also focusing on past confusions about values and relationships. Our developmental past brings us to oppression, 47, the gate of realization, the sense that the world is against you. And in future, what might this do to humanity? Will it lead to their salvation? Will it lead to inspiration? Will it lead to certainty of man's vulnerability and the opinions of the doubts about the powers that be? Finding the nature of one's truth requires that one lives in freedom. And how can one be free when one is locked into the cage of the apparent reality? Which values and relationships actually can bring harmony? That is Neptune exalted. In this sense that the world is against you, focusing on the past confusions and values and relationships, looking for the conditions, not finding the point or the difficulty, we'll say. Remember, it's cyclical. So when Polaris is exactly the North Star, when the door closes truly on the transitional beings, that's you, me, everybody, the nine-centered being, Homo sapien and transitus, when we die out, you see, approximately 100 years after the turning of the great age and stage into the era of the sleeping phoenix. Only when this door closes can our nine-centered, fully embraced being, creativity, remember the creativity of individuality? It can finally emerge, untethered from the seven-centered frameworks of our current mundane reality. So for the first time ever in 2100, you will see nine-centered beings no longer bound by the old seven-centered way of being, the strategic paradigms. They will have the freedom in response to create something that's whole, original, not just extensions built upon the backs of old. We've yet to make a statement, truly, as nine-centered creatures, you and me, because a true nine-centered innovation requires a rupture, a break with tradition, truly, traditional values, traditional religions, traditional rules, traditional structures, infrastructures of government, of society. So the societal collapse truly, according to Ra, his prediction would be somewhere within the next century. When he taught this, it was 20 years ago. Now we have less than 2 years. I remember him saying that those of us, the people who are back to land creatures, looking for sustainability, they had it right. Get out of the city if it's right for you, obviously, while you still can. Find your ability to live sovereign and free. Within your pentic dynamics was what he predicted, how we would survive in the coming era. Smaller groupings, not the big, large, multiple upon multiple, thousands of gene pools living on top of each other. There was I think it was in India, pretty sure it was in India, a city that was built upon itself. There were some rules within the city where people didn't have to obey certain building codes. And so there was this very tiny block of people that just kept building and building and building. It was definitely a health hazard. And eventually, I think it was a 6 square acre section. Eventually, they got everybody out and they tore it down and built a park. Maybe not India, maybe China. I think it was China. That kind of thing, get out while you still can before the roofs are torn down around you. In 1925, 2 billion people, approximately. We had the rapid growth in industrialized nations, where frequent deaths from infections, no antibiotics. Global literacy, 30%, approximately, and up to 25% of humanity living in cities. So the world was a tapestry of our emerging modernity, as in cars replacing horses, radios crackling to life. Empire still intact, and the leap to today is a vast difference, and the coming shift will make that era feel like ancient history. We have the 7 center strategies that built our world: centralized power, rigid hierarchies, mass industrialization, mechanisms crumbling into irrelevance. What worked then won't just falter, it'll collapse, as far as leaving to those of us tethered to the old logic, stranded in chaos. What happens when the trains don't run on time, when the buses don't come, when the food, the trucks don't deliver the, not just produce, but products? In May, currently, as I record this, they are predicting that this is when the supply will be hit, as far as the tariffs that were implemented by the current powers that be, infrastructure, will affect those of us who are dependent on imports here in this country. So 2025, we have 8.1 billion people. Growth slows in wealthy regions. Have you seen the stagnation of the building? We have mRNA vaccines, not only given to human creatures, but also in our food supply. We have robotic surgery. We have telemedicine, standard chronic diseases. Did you know that heart disease is an autoimmune issue? Chronic diseases replace infections as top killers. Global literacy is 87%, and 60% of humanity lives in cities. Ross says that the only ones who truly have a grasp of what it is that's going on will be right-oriented. Now, we know that the beings who will be born, that are raves, will be quad right only. Absolutely, they must be, as part of the new frequency. And let's imagine we're jumping forward 100 years into the future. Instead of 8 billion people, the prediction, 3.5 billion and falling. Fertility rates crashing. We know if there's a rise in chronic disease, obviously, that a human being is not going to be nearly as fertile if it is succumbing to disease. Antibiotic-resistant plagues ravage the aging populations. Healthcare is limited to herbal remedies or black market biohackers. Anyone else take on experiments of being one's own doctor, getting medicines outside of prescriptions? Hi, raising my hand here. We have scattered clans that dominate. 100 years organized around resource hoarding, perhaps religious cults. Because there is no internet in the same way, there's a predicting of oral storytelling replacing digital media. Art glorifies pre-collapse myths. Literacy plummets as schools vanish. And the population decline leads to hyper-localized urbanization. Former suburbs become autonomous villages. What happens? Human beings, remember, they're resilient. So this comparison and the key takeaway, what we're looking at in this dystopian scenario, human beings fracturing into micro-societies. The people who are nine-centered Homo sapien intransitus, particularly going into battling because of scarcity and existential despair, this collapse of the global systems, leading to technological regression. Now, Ross said outside of, pockets, obviously the incredible elite of the people who have money to build their underground societies, maybe even, there's all kinds of rumors, who knows? But he said that there wouldn't be additional advancements. Now, that's him. If there are brutal resource wars, well, we see what human beings do when there's a lack of food, shelter, energy. Let's say cultural amnesia because of institutions and collective knowledge vanish. Can you imagine no longer having the ability to reference the internet? Survival of the cruelest, potentially. Now that erosion of empathy, because see, we currently live in a background frequency that is a first line era. Empathy or not, bullying or not. You know, if we look into the future and we think about the sixth line in its distorted potential, besides blaze of glory, i.e. suicide, we also have apathy. How will children, and think about the children nowadays, how will children figure out how these technologies actually work if they're too apathetic or sick to go to school and learn how these things, these structures are actually, technologies are actually built? You know, they're so sick, they're so apathetic. Or the beings currently in power are in such hypocrisy that they leave the children behind. You know that no child left behind thing? They have left our children behind. The corruption, the powers that be. It comes back to being one's own authority. I don't mean to be doomsday sayer. I know that what happens when one is in alignment and in accordance with truth is that one can be in one's own nature of frequency, no matter what experiential process there happens to be. And though fundamentally we can all experience the frustration, anger, bitterness, and disappointment, if one aligns to the sovereign nature of individual truth, individualized frequency, the soul imprinting, the blueprint of your spirit, there is peace, there is satisfaction, there is success, there is surprise. No matter what the quote unquote selfishness of abundance in great disguise might bring. Now remember, 2027 ushers in the beginning of the presence of the conscious rave. Ra calls it the potential of a conscious rave Penta. This rave Penta is designed for an era that is dominated by the right as in receptive, right as in peripheral, right as in this passive, observational awareness and acceptance, this oneness, unity consciousness, this giving over of one's individual nature of being to the pentic dynamic, where there is no I, there is only we. And that is a very different frequency. In fact, he predicted that they would live on a different plane of existence, a different parallel reality that only they could access. And isn't it true? If you see the telepathy tapes, you can observe these nonverbal children being psychic, as in they don't need words. The right is not strategically equipped as far as a human is concerned, as in any of you who have any rightness to you, I know I do, that is not strategic in us. And yet with the rebirth of the new era, the new frequency, the new heralding of a new type of human being, what we have here is a strategic transauric entity, even though all of them will be right-facing according to their variable nature. Their brain-body system, their environmental capability frequency, their seeing, their perspective, their awareness, all being right, variable, facing, future-oriented, indeed. When they get together in their fixed pentic groupings, no longer a helpless creature as it appears to be to us, you and me, us human beings, because they will appear weak, They will appear frail. I mean, for Christ's sake, they can't speak. But individually, though they happen to seem to be incapable of handling reality, when they come together in their grouping, they will be sovereign, free, capable of handling, disseminating, changing reality without lifting a finger. They will be strategically equipped as a conscious Penta because Penta is strategic. Penta, 3 to 5 beings, a transauric entity, giving up one's own nature of individuality to the collective grouping. So any Penta, rave Penta, will be able to look after the raves that give over their individuality, their identity to the group. But we, you and me, humanity, we will not have that advantage. In the new era, humans will rely solely on personal authority. And that's why we do our best to educate you, to depend on the thing that you may not yet have depended on, or trusted in your entirety of your life. For those of us who are strategic humans, our authority, our relationship with ourselves, and according to those who are right facing variable arrows, not right as in good, bad, right, wrong. This is the only way that we human beings are going to be able to succeed in that era. So in other words, you got a lot of leftness. Have you noticed you're attracted to rightness? Quad lefts finding quad rights. Exactly opposite variable arrows pairing together in pair bonding. I've seen it. Have you? Human beings can still thrive, but only if we shed our dependencies on the outdated frameworks of the background frequency of the collective cross of planning. Empowerment comes from surrendering to the nature of our individuality, of our unique authenticity, of being our own authority, not resisting it. Don't resist the body, the being, the frequency of one's own sovereign chemistry, the innate truth within. This is the way through and to that new rebirthing of a new way of being. And I know it's difficult. Aren't any births difficult? And yet, don't you feel elated after the birthing, whether it be a human being or a business? For human beings, all we have is the potential of being our own authority. It is the thing that's going to bring us the right death, the right thing that goes wrong, even though it was a quote unquote mistake. Take one, take two, the clapperboard, you know? Learning from the experiential process of what did not work so that we can teach from the lie, the false narrative, the mistake, the things that are broken that no longer work. For us who are still strategic humans, even though if you are quad right, you were born in a left world. For us, our authority and our relationship with our own divinity, our differentiated uniqueness, this is the thing that will break us free from the humdrum, mundane reality. It doesn't mean, by the way, that life is going to be bad, go bad. It won't necessarily. What if you are one of these beings that thrives on chaos? What if you love to rise to the occasion? What if the real challenges in life falling to shit around you actually brings forth the hero in you? How would you get to see that hero that you be if you did not come across the challenges of reality? You can't. In fact, one moment while I pull up, I need to turn on my phone. I'm going to read to you something. He said I could quote him. I know a lot of you are going through shit storms. All of us have something. Isn't it true? Mm. There are some incredible beings that can speak from an authoritative place. This one happens to be a 4-1. Sean Michael, those of you who know, who've been in my classes. And he's also innocence motivated as a teacher unconsciously. Yes? You know, those innocence, those harmonic 4-1 creatures, they're always innocently motivated. And a body, teacher body, that is designed to be able to give us what brings harmony. I need to move to my, rather than searching through my email, he just sent it to me this morning. And I retweeted because, or not retweeted, I tweeted it because of, it was just so inspiring. So he said, quote, I have come to realize that all the most difficult challenges we have, aside from testing our own growth and resolve in myriad ways, have most to do with the benefit we can convey to others who come afterwards, to assist them as much as possible to understand the lessons we have learned, so as to avoid the otherwise inevitable unnecessary suffering that would follow. Sean Michael. It is a great gift to walk this path with you, each of you, in accordance with whatever is true. I honor and respect the uniqueness and the nature of your own divinity. From 2027 onward, the unraveling will accelerate. I know it's scary. Hold on to your hats, people. Buckle up your seatbelt. The collapse of the old world isn't instantaneous, though. It's another 73-year dissolution to 2100. But by then, every vestige of the seven-centered dominance is prophesied to be extinct. Now, we may think that this prediction, I'll believe it when I see it, and yet we're like a frog in hot water. In the water, the temperature, it's rising. And what happens when it begins to boil? It's a cosmic inevitability. Everyone dies, in other words. So what makes life meaningful, purposeful, even joyous or vital? It is to live and breathe and be in one's nature of one's own sovereignty, as in live the purpose of breathing and being whatever it is that you came here to be, whatever it is, no matter what. No more judgments, no more lies, no more hiding in disguise. Rise up, my friends. We are ushering in an era where nine-centered beings must recognize their unique design. This means individuating. This means, for those of you who are teachers too, living with respect to your frequency, your authenticity, being one's own authority. The crutch of strategy, the experiment of authority, your inner mechanics, each one of us fundamentally different. You are not bound by rules, by hierarchy, not really, not when one is in one's own individual frequency. Truly, the seven-centered logic, it's dying. Your survival depends on making your move honor your true nature. Our role as human beings, experimenting, it's clear. However it is correct for you, propagate the fundamental nature of your divinity. Be your own authority. Have the awareness and the capability of holding to, sovereign and true, that frequency of peace, satisfaction, success, surprise. This is the spirit consciousness, the awareness principle of what it is to be sovereign and free. When we equip ourselves first, because it's true to separate, you must do what you came here to do. be one's own authority. Equip others too with the tools to experiment. We have to separate, detach from the dying systems and anchor into our innate individuation, our own authority. And it just takes one breath at a time, one being at a time. We can only wake up individually. The moment we meet an other, there is the Maya, truly. We don't wake up in groups. We don't even wake up in pair bonding. We can orient ourselves to our own sovereignty by getting right with thee, as in the awareness principle of what it is to be. Alone, all one in one's own nature of frequency. Like I mentioned, the moment you meet up with another being, you never know that other person. You only know the thing the two of you become. And it is the awareness of this human being, projector creature, that has been curated, cultivated, developed over time, alone, primarily, on one's own, to see the radical difference and change of frequency and awareness when one comes into contact with an other. As a projector, it's almost as if you become that other. And one gets so sensitive and attuned to the nature of frequency and chemistry that one cannot help but be aware and finally see, peer through the veil of the illusion and great disguise to see the nature of one's own divinity. And it is not expressible. It is not comprehensible. It is not, we are not capable of sharing truly what it is to be sovereign and free. We can only be pointing fingers, pointing at truth. And the truth is inherent, individual, right there inside of you, always and already. You don't have to go seeking. You just have to experiment. Try it and see. Breathe, one moment at a time. As this vast cosmic sea may seem to swallow you with the change, you still have a fundamental nature of being in this body as a witness to sovereign and true, what it is to be eternal, because we are. It's going to take from 2027, the moment that we enter into that era, till 2100 for the complete collapse of the world as we know it. And so that song, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. It's okay to let go. Relax. Enjoy the show. No stress, no worry. You know, this is not the end. It's simply in the spiral of life, all ends are beginnings. And we, as a humanity, being birthed, rebirthed into a new era, being morphed, being mutated. We have survived mutation before, and we will again. And the eternal soul, the witness consciousness, we are not fragile. We are not broken. There's nothing to fix. We are here for the children. They are the ones who will carry on our history. This wisdom, the human design system, it was given to ensure children never fear their world. It is a gift meant to liberate them from seeking false security in a collapsing system. Don't your children deserve to grow up rooted in their innate power? Your children are good enough to be able to give the gift of freedom. Equip them to trust their own inner authority. Don't take it from them. Raise them accordingly to their sovereign nature of being. Raise them to operate authentically. Do not demand them to conform. Help them to navigate any reality, not just this coming, shifting, radically changing time, no matter how chaotic. why it was given to Ra, this knowledge. It was so that children don't have to be afraid. The end of fear is dying. And as we rebirth into the new heralding of a new frequency, sovereign and free, remember the 6-9 energy? Role modeling takes time to grow, so they are growing slowly. Childhood, the end of childhood. It's 30. So childhood lasts till 30 with these new baby creatures born to be sovereign and free. Give them space, give them time, nurture their individuality, allow them to grow up. Don't rush them, force them, push them. See them for what they are. Creatures of a new age, carriers of the new frequency. Rastaban and Polaris aligned in the 515 in 2000. Remember, this was the threshold signaling the beginning of the end of humanity's own old paradigm, because this is the thing that links us to everything living, breathing, being, as far as the channel frequency, because it is the design of even the cells. Every cell has a design, a crystal of consciousness, and everything has an imprinting. And here are the two that Rastaban and Polaris are where they are within you. So the energy now left for humanity is ours to respond to. Our task, educate, empower as many as possible, reach as many as possible to embrace their 9-centered divinity, their inherent sovereignty, their divine differentiation. To be practical, it's a revolution in our way of life. So to live as a 9-centered being, we operate beyond fear and the collective illusion delusion that currently humanity is in the grips of, the thrall of. Yeah, stating fantasy as fact. Gate 16, line 1. The era, remember the bridge? That bridge crumbling behind you? These markers, these cosmic signposts, they remind us to allow to be in flow, that timeless place, don't you know? The 9-centered dawn, it's not something that we can negotiate with. Please don't move. No, the role is to light the path, to cross into, to step into that frequency, to be sovereign and free, as an example of one who is living one's own divinity, one's own nature of being.